So it is 5 o'clock and we're getting ready to go. Welcome to week 7, and this is Jim Schuett. I think you know that. Thank you for signing in and letting me know that you're here, and let's get this thing started. I hope your day has been a good one. We're going to jump right into our session today. Here's some highlights for what we're going to do. I have 2 new videos that I'll send you the link for. One is report forms structure and groupings, talking about that, and then also using cost codes as your primary table. We'll take a peek at each of those, not the whole video, just a little snippets here and there to tease you a bit, and then we'll go into working a new report. It's a WIP report that I got a request for, and we'll go all the way through that. So let's see. So we're going to do the primary table with cost codes first, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show just little bits because these are the other one is 23 minutes. This is 18 minutes. We're not going to spend more than about 5 minutes on them. So I'll get this one going.
Cost code table. Let's open this up as a modify. And you go to select the tables in your groupings. You come to find out that there's not very many things that you can use as groupings. You can use cost codes and divisions. Not much else is here. And if you look, now you have some takeoff and accounts receivables, but you have to be careful because they don't always connect the way you think they should, because they are connected here.
Okay, we're going to scoot forward a little bit. Okay.
Let's X out of this and take a look at this report that I created. Now you can see there's a lot of data here, and it is a cost code primary table. And so how do we do that? Well, SQL statements are the rule there. And so anyway, I've got job is the...
Now we're going to go quite a far ahead. Okay.
The height of some of these. So we'll leave that for now. But this is the void line thing. And what that says is basically if the budget, if the total budget has data, or if the sub-changes have data, or if the job costs have data, or whatever else is in the report, add all of those together, and if that's 0, then put a 0. If it's not 0, then put a 1. And what you do then is, up here, do not print the line if the value returned for this is 0. So basically, if none of these have any data in them, in that row, you put a 0 and then click this, and it won't show that line because there's no data there. You don't need to show it. And that's one of the parts, one of the reasons why I put let's get back here. It's one of the reasons why I put the cost code name on the same row as the data.
Okay, one more little snippet on this, and then we'll go to the other video on report forms. Go here. One more. Okay, that's good.
That's one of the ways to handle this when you come across it. And so adding or using the cost code as a primary table, solves some problems. It also creates some problems. It it restricts you a lot with connecting to other tables because it doesn't connect to very many tables, even though there are a lot of tables that do have cost codes in them. So it's a solution with some complications. Anyway, that's probably enough said on this issue, but I just hope you understand why this is an issue in having to use the cost codes instead of, let's say, a job cost table or a budget table because of how those work.
All right, that'll do for that one. Let's go into the other, all about report forms.
Welcome to Report Readiness Group training segments on report forms. We're glad to start this series of.
Here, let me get this set up here.
Here they are. Predefined fields. Page 22. So let's go to page 22. So these are the predefined fields that are standard and ready to use in your report form. The predefined fields always start with capital C, capital B, and a caret, and then 6 letters to describe what the field is. These are only to be used in the report form, not in the custom report part. And
Okay, moving right ahead. I just want you to get a sense of the good, valuable information that are in these videos, and that if you can at all take the time to view them, that's really a good thing.
So let's take a look at just adding one of these items. So we'll go back to page 1. There we go. Now, if I want to add something, I'll just click in here, like on the custom report area, and go up here to Insert Fields. And this will give me a list of the tables. If I want to go into accounts receivable, we're in 311, so that's probably a likely place. And open this up. 3. Okay, and job. So let's say we want to do something with jobs. We'll go into accounts receivable. Now here are all the fields in jobs. Now what primary table you are using in this custom report is important for what you put into here on the report form. But it's a 311 report, and so it'll be accounts receivable more than likely. And so let's put the job number in. And we can put in job name.
Okay, going to move up a little bit further.
Lower, so that this won't encroach onto this, and this won't encroach onto this, if either one of them are long. So that's important. And then you got the date. You can place these any place you want. But they should be lined up either left justified or right justified. Like here, these are all left justified. And these are right justified. What do I mean? Okay, we're going to click on both of these. You see they're all lined up together here. First of all, I want to make sure that they are right aligned, each field. And then I'll click here and go down to align right. And that lines these up. Now, for instance, if I want to align this together onto the well, let's see.
We're going to scoot on ahead a little bit further.
To line up so they look balanced, then I'm going to make this left justified. And then I will put this here, and that's clicked. And I'll make it left positions, and then I need to make both of these at the same top. Okay, and of course you can use any fields and do this that way. And you can right-click and do properties and do bold. And if you want that to be a little bit bigger, then bold and a little bit bigger. There. Now, why did that?
We're not going to find that out yet. You'll have to look at the video to see that. Now let's go a little bit further. We've got two more little snippets.
Left. And sometimes in these areas you might want to put some boxes around things. So let's do this. We're going to, and we don't know how big these are going to end up being. So these we know pretty much are going to be limited. So we're going to put a box here. And another box here. Okay. Now this isn't all that attractive, but there's sometimes when you got boxes and boxes, and it kind of groups things together, and it can look pretty good. And if you want to put a split in there, you can do this, then do it again here.
Okay, you get the idea. There's lots of good stuff there too. One more, and then we'll be on to the live working on the report that I'm going to do today. Okay, 25. There we go.
You do a report that has extra pages. Now, I did a separate video on entering in contract type pages. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. Let's see. Here's some boxes, and that's pretty nice because you've got some color, and it really gives you your eyes can flow right to what you're looking for. That's the important part of design, and in creating forms and custom reports, all of it fits together to make I call it a beautiful piece of work.
All right. And we can close that now. And so these are done. Oop. Okay. All right. Every client seems to have a different vision of what a WIP report should be. I have clients all the time asking for them, and I get all kinds of varieties of things what they want. But that's okay. This is what report writing is all about: understanding their vision and helping them to make it even better. As your knowledge of Sage and report writing increases, you are the best person to help provide a document that saves them time and provides solutions for their business. Now, I keep saying them, but for this group, I mean you. You will be the best asset your company has because you know this. You have the ability to work on reports and create things that will help them a great deal. While that's loading, let me show you what I got from the client. Here we go. Client said, I want a RIF report, and this is kind of what it's supposed to look like. And off to the other side here is it had the job number, the job name, contract amount, and then the rest of this was not in a really, they understood it, but I had a hard time seeing the flow here because we're doing 2 years, or the current year and prior years. So here's 2023, and way over here is 2024, and stuff in the middle about the overall project. And so what is our job, my job, your job, at work, even when it's time to zero in on what everybody needs. Here we go. And so what I did with this client is to rearrange some of the columns, put some order in it so that it flows from here to there. And so I grouped the 2023s, the 2024s together, put a heading so that it's right off the bat, you know what those are. And then these are the project totals for the whole thing. And so that flows. And when you're designing or working on reports for yourselves, this structure is important to keep in mind as to how you can read the report. Do you have to, like some of the Sage canned reports that are in there, I have no idea what they were thinking, but there's just information all over the place, and so it's important to keep in mind on the flow of and really how it looks that is pleasing. And so that being said, there we go. And so I sent you these sheets. I don't know if you'll take notes or anything, but what the first thing I do when I'm writing a report is, I lay out the report by doing all the titles, the column titles. Well, next, actually, not the first thing. The first thing is I analyze what is being asked for and determining, knowing the table structures and what can connect and what you might have trouble with, assuming that it can be done. I try to make sure that it can be done before I spend too much time on it. And so that's the first thing. But now the next thing is to kind of get a sense of the layout and the structure. And so I always do the titles first. And I think this goes over further. No, it goes over further. Let me see here. I don't think I finished the titles on this one yet. So anyway, that's what this is for. Let me go into the next one. Yeah, this is better. No, I got a little more work done on the titles and putting some boxes in there with the grouping titles. I also went up here to set the grouping. And so it really is just a single group. Job is the main group. And we're going to get rows of different jobs, one row per job. And so that was pretty easy to do, setting the grouping. Added the boxes with some color to provide flow. And also I started adding some fields. Not too many, just a couple so far on this one. These are pretty easy fields, so I'm not going to go into them too much. But I do want to show you one of the sheets I gave you was on the global calculations. And that's up here. This is where you go to get the calculated fields. And the global calculations are right here. Here's where your list of formulas and stuff are for the different columns and the different fields. But if you have one that you think you'll use often, you can call it up like here and go over here to save calculated global calculations. And then the next time you need it, you just go into here and go down to where it would be. And you can see that there's quite a few in there, and they don't come with all of these. I've put in quite a few. And you can see I've got a lot in here of ones that I've done before. And so the global calculations are really important to keep track of, and make sure you take a look at them. Let me just show you one more thing. Here's for the AR aging, you've got the aging columns already formulated here. A lot of the things about the AR stuff, like jobs, is in here also. You've got the contract balance, costs to date, current balance, earned to date. Let me just bring one of those in and show you. I think it's probably, yeah, I've already got that in there. So into the report, let me pull one in that won't be there. Secondary payee, okay. So if you're writing checks and you need a secondary payee, there's the way to do it. That's really not a very good example because that's a rare formula. Anyway, so that's the global calculation fields. Let's see. We're going to go into some variables too. And while we're here, let's see. Oh, here, yeah. Okay. When I do a report and I have to write a SQL statement like this, it's because they want to do it through a period, and so they want to know what the costs are through a certain period or for a certain period, and they want the history to show in that number, and so whatever the calculation is, I always add. Let me go to here first. I always set up a calc that is for through period with just the variable, the in for number, type in through period, and then the description is through period. These two have to match exactly. There's no extra spaces or periods or anything. They have to be exact, this and that. And then another one is for post year, because if you're telling it a period, you also have to tell it the year. And the post year is the current year. And then this one is the prior year. And you'll see how I use these in making a formula. And I sent you the formulas, a couple formulas with the variable heading. And you can take a look at those when you have time. But let's go into one real quick. This shows capturing the data for this year through a period. Okay, we're looking at the contract and the change orders. So basically, how much was the contract with its change orders through a period, this period that you enter in, and this is in the pop-up screen. You put in your selection criteria when you're going to print the report, and you click print, and then a pop-up screen comes up and asks you for the through period and the post year. And so what you're doing is saying the prime change, the change order period, is equal to or less than the period, let's say it's number 7, period 7. And that means that it's going, and it's the post year is the current year, 2024. And so what this is saying is less than or equal to period 7, if that's what you've entered. That means periods 1 through 7 will be included in this year. And this is the wording for these is very similar for the other types of SQL statements, like this is for job costs. The only difference is this is the prime change post year. This is the job cost post year. This is the prime change period. This is the job cost period. And here's prime change again for a different part of the calculation. And so that's these are so useful. And this structure gets you a successful number coming out. This is a different example. And this is the other half of that. This captures all the data. On the other one, we captured just for the current year through a period. Well, what about all the history stuff? Maybe there was a lot of stuff last year. And this is the other half for all prior years and all periods. So basically, it's the same thing, except this is the accounting period is 1 through 12, basically. Everything equal to or less than 12 in the post year. Actually, in the post year, which is the nomenclature, but we're putting in the prior year's number. So that'd be 2023 in this case. And so because we're taking all the periods in 2023, we can put in the 12, and it'll capture all through 1 through 12. And these are the same things that we saw on the other one. They're the same as that, except for it's for the prior year's information. You've got this in your packet from today too. So I think there was a couple. I showed you that already too. So, okay, good. I was going to do those later, but I'm here, so I thought I might pop those in. Okay, and so this is the contract amount field right here, and that's what I was just showing you. Actually, it's not in there yet, but that's what I started with, because the contract, I can pull that in from the global, and then I had to add in the pulling by the year in the period. I was adding more fields. I also changed the report form because when I started out, I didn't have an 11 by 17 sheet here, and I needed to have the bigger sheet to fit everything in. And so when you need to change the report form on this is the modify report screen, you can come up here and put the down arrow and go into private or probably shared forms for you. All mine are in private. And I click the middle so it gets alphabetical, and I scroll down to areas that have the forms that I need. I make a standard kind of form for my reports mostly, and if it says the S100R, that's us form, and then I've got the kinds of different scenarios, like with job. Let's go down to something else here. Okay, so basically these are the dot report means it's just regular portrait. Dot report underscore land means it's a landscape, but all letter size. Here I've got some that also ask for period in the form, and then that'll show at the top of the report, and other types of things like a year and 2 years and things like that. So anyway, when you find the one that you want, you just click on it and it'll pop right back up into here. And that's how you change the report form, from the modify report screen. So let's take a look at some of these other fields that I've got here. See if there's anything worth taking a peek at. this is just your standard job cost. This is also in global calculation fields as an SQL statement, just exactly this. And so it's saying it wants the cost amount from the job cost table, where the job cost status is equal to 1. In job cost, 1 is open, 2 is void. And so it's important to put that in because you want to make sure you're not getting voids. And then the job cost job number is equal to the job number. So that's a pretty simple one. No, he said cost. They wanted a heading of estimated cost at completion. Basically, that's the budget. And so let's take a quick look at this. Yeah. So it's asking for the budget plus the change orders, because usually when you've got a column for something like this, the budget or the contract, it's always including the change orders, so you get the current number. Okay. The next one is 3G, and that is just adding more fields. Let's take a quick look and see if there's anything in there that would be good for us to see. When you probably remember why I do this kind of lettering on things, 1A, 1B, 1C, and so forth. You can see that sometimes it goes quite long, in the 3s and starting into the 4s, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so forth. When Sage is kind of finicky, when you do a new calculation and put it in, if it doesn't like that, most of the time it's fine. It'll tell you. But once in a while, it will take everything you've done and wipe it away, and it's gone. And if you don't have something saved with all that data still in there, you have to start all over from scratch. I can't tell you how many times that happened, even recently. Although, because I do this, I was fine because I could just go back to the prior one and do it. I usually change it from 3A to 3B to 3C whenever I put a new formula in, because usually that's one of the things that will cause this to really go nuts. And sometimes, like I was working on a contract entry, and it didn't like what was happening on page 4. It kept closing out Sage and losing everything that I'd done since the last save. And so it's just important for you to save, change the name, do some more, save it, and do that. I think I'm deading a beat horse. No, I'm beating a dead horse, so I'll keep going. So let's see. Cost to dates we looked. Gross profit. When okay, if they want the gross profit, and so what is the gross profit? It's the contract amount plus its change orders minus the job cost. And so you have these two calcs in your system already. You've got the contract with the change orders in one column, and you've got the job cost in another column. And so you just have to add them together in a new one and call it profit. And so here's the contract, here's the change orders, here's the plus sign, and then here's the job cost. So percent complete. And so we've got percent complete. What is the percent complete? It is the amount of costs that you've incurred divided by the budget that you have decided was the total amount of cost that the job would have. No, here's the cost calculation, and then you divide the costs by the budget and the change orders, and then you put parentheses around the whole thing and multiply it by 100, because that will give you a fraction. And if you want it to show, let's say it's going to be 20% complete, well, it's going to come up 0.20, and so you put parentheses around the whole thing and do a multiply times 100, and that'll give you, instead of 0.20, it'll give you 20. And so that would show up as 20% instead of 0.20. I think I've got all the fields in. And what I was doing here was, once you get most of that done, or all of that done, and you're ready to finalize, you clean up the report. You know, a lot of times you'll have extra rows, or you need to change them from one of these to another, and just clean up the report. And the other thing is double check your grouping and make sure that it's set correctly. Now we have one group, and it's jobs, but this is the type of report where it's set at detail with nothing up here for jobs and no subtotals for jobs, because it's a one line for report. So basically this is the subtotals, and I put jobs on the same line so that it's all on one line. And you'll see in a second, the every row in the report is a new job with all the same data for each one. And so I cleaned up the report in the last one. Actually, all of these were the same report. I just broke out the different areas of what I did. And so if this is a chance of being sent to Excel, you have to be sure that all of these are aligned. Otherwise, earned will be in one column and today it'll be in another column when it goes to Excel, if they're not aligned. And by aligning, I just mean doing this and then choosing the one you want all the others to align to, and I want them all right adjusted, and I just click that. And so now these are all aligned. Even this is aligned with the last column. And I do the last column so that it gives the break to this grouping, and the color bar shows how far that goes over. If you do this in the center or on the right side or on the left side, it's going to give you another row in it when you send it to Excel. Because right now, so this is all one row, one column in Excel, or will be when it goes. And so it's important to align them, make sure everything's aligned, each and every one. Send it to Excel, take a look and see what happens. And you'll see, almost always, you'll see a couple more that you didn't notice. And a lot of times the trouble is, you think it's aligned, but really that one is still left aligned, and you're doing all these as right aligned. And so that's another area. And then setting the properties. For instance, but one of the last things you do to make sure is that whatever style of formatting you want to use, and this client wanted this kind of formatting. And so I have to make sure that every one of these is set to the same formatting, and I know what the characters are, and to have them put a 0 if when it's a 0 amount. And one thing, sometimes you'll put a check mark in here, but it doesn't show a 0, even still. Nothing you can do about that. And so, like all of these are size 8. So you have to make sure that they all are, make sure that they're all top, like this, and align them to the top. So they're all exactly at the same height. Not one's up a little higher and this one's down a little lower. And so it's important to set all those properties and formats and the characters to be the same and aligning. Now it's ready. It's all neat and pretty and ready to send to the client for a review. And I always send it to the client for a review. We make sure it's looking like what they want. I ask some final questions, or they ask some things, and we end up fixing them or whatever needs to be done before just sending them the report. How it's best to set these up. Now, I know from working with this report that I've set it to be 11 by 17. And when I print, it's not set automatically to 11 by 17 for the printer. And if you have a printer that isn't going to do what we need here, see, there's no tabloid here. One thing that's always good is if you've got it hooked up, is the Sage 100 Contractor PDF export. And then now you can see tabloid is there, a lot more too. And I'll just click tabloid, and that means that it'll print out the 11 by 17 size paper. And that's there, and so that's there. And when I'm running something like this and get these all set, and actually I put in the job range, then I'll come up here to defaults, then save the defaults. That includes the printing, the tabloid, and these, whatever's in here. So those are set, and then I'll also save as default report. So I've got this long list of things that are here that this is the final one. And by saving as a default report, because I've highlighted it, it'll, whenever I go into this, it'll just flow right to this right automatically. And so now here's the pop-up screen. Because you notice there wasn't any questions here about periods or years, but that's why those variables are so important. They add a pop-up screen so that you can enter in data. N for numbers, D for dates, and S for string of characters. Very, very useful. And so post year 2021, because this is the sample company, 2020, and test period 12. And here is a beautiful report. And that's what it's all about. You've got, here's the information on the report form up top here. That's from the report form, because I had to put that in. I typed in all of this, put a field for this. I typed all this in, put a field for these here, and set that up. On the bottom, most of the time I try to remember to, when I use that form that has the S100R form, blah, 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 they almost all have this kind of stuff on the bottom. Here's the report title, no, the report number, the report title, and the subtitle. Actually, this report should have a subtitle. It should at least have the -4B on the bottom, so that doesn't have to show up in the top corner. I put in my stuff that if they need to reach me for anything, they can. And over on this side, this is really important because it gives you the date and the time and the page. The time is more important than you would think. When you're running a report and you're not happy with what came out, you tweak it and then you run it again, and then you run it again. You look down to see, well, which one of these did I do last? Without a time slot on there, you don't know which was the last one you did. So it's important to have this kind of stuff too. So let's see here. So we're going to go back up and take a quick look. Any questions on this? There is no data for 2020 in the sample company. That's why this is all zeros. And even though these were checked mark as 0, it didn't print them. Okay. I just sent this off this morning or this afternoon to the client for a review. I haven't put a row for totals, for total totals here yet, and they had a column in the front called sort, and I've asked them, what needs to go into there. That may be just a column heading, so they can add something manually into the Excel sheet when they send it. Could be. And I also have room for a couple more columns if they want to add some more columns of stuff. Anyway, that's that. That took me about 6 hours today to actually do that report. Obviously, you're not going to spend 6 hours in class, so I tried to get it done so that we could get the basics in there, in our hour slot. Time for questions if you have anything. We've got about 5 more minutes. Any questions? Let me see if there's something else that. Okay, no, I think we've covered the stuff. Okay, here's something. Let's see, what's this? Is there a whip template we could start from? Not really. Sage has a whip report. You could see if that's modifiable and start from there. But the needs for a whip report are so different for each person. It's really interesting. I haven't yet found one that is satisfactory for 2 people. They always want it different. Like this is the most different one that I've ever come across. Oh, one other thing. In the 13, number 8 is really a treasure. That is, okay, let's go see if whip is in there. Of course, I know it is because I've got some in there and there's some other things. And what it'll do is anything, not just the title of the report, but if it's got a column in there called whip or those types of things, it'll dig them out. Okay, so here's what pops up with whip. Now, these are standard reports from Sage because you can see that they have a location. After that, these are all custom. And so some of these don't say anything about being whip, but there's whip in there someplace, maybe a column or something. Now, whip could also mean something, a word with WIP in it. So, that's an obvious thing too, but I've got whip this and whip that and down here, these are all reports I've done. Right down here to the whip ones and lots of things. But anyway, the search feature is really good. Now these only show up here on the ones that Sage put in. Like over here, nothing's over here, but up here you can see what's there. But the search feature is really important, really good. I think we're good. Yeah, another minute. I just want to thank you so much for the time you've spent attending and doing the things I've asked you to do. Um, I wish we could do more one-on-one or have the chatter between each other rather than typing. But we weren't having very much luck with Teams, and I haven't had very much luck with Zoom or Teams on these kinds of things. I'm really glad that we were able to find Riverside FM to use this format. It's been pretty good, and their editing, I'm still learning it. There's so much, but their editing is really good. And anyway, thank you so much for being here today, and I'll get the video ready and sent out probably tomorrow. So take care. Thanks so much.